Should you make a game alone? Or should you work with a team? Jonas Tyroller, the co-creator of Thronefall, he's done both. And he told me something that definitely caught me off guard. He said that sharing your revenue with another developer really doesn't matter. That is, as long as you do one thing. If you do this one thing, sharing your revenue with a developer or even a publisher, it doesn't really matter. So let's jump into this conversation, which, by the way, it's from a bigger conversation for a full-length podcast episode, and the link is below. So let's talk about team development versus solo development, and which one is right for you. And by the way, if you want an extra team member on your project with a significantly lower cost, consider Bezi, today's sponsor. They're the creators of this new and interesting tool for Unity that uses AI to write code and scripts and has a real-time, deep context of your entire project. It has full context of the code base, asset library, scene graph, and components, allowing it to provide tailored suggestions for your game. It can also pinpoint scripts, components, and scene interactions, maybe causing issues, and propose custom fixes to help you identify performance bottlenecks. What's really unique is that it can also give a detailed technical explanation of your entire project, which could save a ton of digging around when collaborating with other team members on a larger project. Your project integrity and data privacy are, of course, completely secure, so your project stays 100% yours. Bezi is currently in active development and will have a ton of new updates coming soon, including the ability to preview and accept code changes directly within your scripts. That's pretty cool. They have just opened up early access for everyone, that includes you, so you can download it right now to check it out for yourself by simply clicking the link in the description. I want to do solo dev this year. I probably want to do it for like 2 years. I just want to be a hermit again. And there's something romantic about it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm curious, is your solo dev life cyclical? Do you go solo dev, then work with a team, then solo dev, then you work with a team? Because you're solo now, right?
They both scratch kind of different itches. If you're solo, you have like all the freedom you want. You can do whatever you want. You don't need to justify any of your ideas. Mm-hmm. You want to do something really stupid. There's nobody who's like, oh, that's always kind of stupid. You can just do it. That's very liberating. Mm-hmm. At the same time, team projects with a good team are just more likely to be successful. That's also the case. So I think for my commercial projects, I will try to go with a team whenever I can, with a good team. You know, a lot of these tech billionaires, I've heard this advice given a couple of times. You don't need to like them, but they do give good advice sometimes. Is what actually matters.
You're talking about Elon Musk, aren't you?
maybe not. Well, but what actually matters is not the size of your team, but the talent density you have in your team. Much more important. So if you bring somebody in who can do something much better than you, mm-hmm. and you just let that person do that one thing, then it's like an upgrade for the team because you basically improve the average skill of your team. But if you bring somebody into your team to just do something worse that you could also do, to maybe get it done faster, I guess doing something faster is another reason to sometimes bring somebody in. But in general, if you want to build something where the only goal is to make it as good as possible, then obviously the conclusion from that is that you only bring people in who can do something better than you so that you get a better end result.
Okay. Have you ever paid somebody a full-time salary?
We have a community manager mm-hmm. who I think can live off of what we pay him.
Okay.
So it's a freelancing contract. Yeah. So.
Well, that's not really game dev though. It's like studio management, right? I guess mm-hmm. the reason I ask is because, or the reason I clarify that is because you've never, when you say team, it's not a team of salaried positions or contract workers that are building your game. Instead, it's a team effort, meaning you guys get a royalty share, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is an interesting, I wanted to ask you about this. I can't bring myself to do that. Because...
Why?
Because I like to be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say leadership is forfeited when you do that? When you partner up like that?
When you share responsibility and revenue and everything.
Because suddenly everyone's got a stake in it, and therefore they feel like they have a valid leadership position. They have a say, and so they can trump what you say.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And it also happens all the time. You have to be willing to make compromises, and you also oftentimes obviously have these discussions. It's a little bit of a give and take also, where like, okay, yeah, I guess you're right on that. And sometimes you have to walk your own opinion back a little bit to make room for what the other person thinks. And the very difficult thing about it is, of course, to not make it something personal, because it can very easily become something personal where it's like, no, you blocked my idea, so now I'm gonna block yours. And you need to be very careful that you don't end up in that kind of team dynamic.
Yeah.
But as long as you're like reasonable and try very hard not to take anything personal, I think it's extremely productive. And I also think that the incentive of people actually having ownership over the project does very much help to make them give their best, and also to, they also feel more of that responsibility. So I think people are also more proactive. Like a lot of times, like the employee mindset is kind of, okay, I'm just gonna do what you tell me. I'll just turn my brain off. You're the brain. I'm just gonna do whatever you say. The advantage of having somebody with shared ownership is that they actually proactively do things and proactively use their brain for you. So oftentimes you come back to the project and there's just been a lot of good decisions been made on your behalf that you didn't have to take yourself. So it would have been like, okay, Paul works on something for a week. All of a sudden, there's like a new Git commit, and like all of the UI looks way better now. And I'm like, oh, I couldn't have done it better, basically. Like,
oh man, that's beautiful. So in a way, what's happened is, for me, I can't do it emotionally because I like to be in charge. I'm just being as transparent as I can. I like to be in charge. Number two, you kind of forfeit getting a publisher because there's not much revenue share to split. You see what I mean? Like, let's say a publisher comes in and they're like, well, we want to give you guys $300,000 for 30% of the revenue. Well, you've already done a 50-50 split. So now you got to give 30%, and now you got to split 70. And that sucks.
I don't think it matters that much, to be honest. It's like there are certain kinds of media or success where it's an exponential curve. The amount of success you can have is sort of distributed like an exponential curve. There are a lot of people getting nothing, and then all of a sudden there's like a very steep increase where the next guy gets like double what the last one got. And on an exponential, having 50% more or 50% less is actually not that big of a difference on an exponential scale. So I don't think it surprisingly doesn't have that big of an impact on whether you're profitable or not.
Is that what you're talking about? Can you see that?
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Okay, now, did I put Thronefall in the correct spot?
Yeah, I think so. Somewhere around there, maybe. Yeah.
So now let's try. Okay, now that we've got your graph, I'm an idiot, dude. I'm trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, sure. So what you're saying is, look, it doesn't matter. You're going to make very little money or a lot of money. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying if you cut all of these bars that you just drew in half, the amount of them that are above a specific line doesn't actually change that much. Like at the moment, they're like maybe 10% above the line. If you cut them in half, it's not like only half of them are above the line.
I know, but look, if let's say this is I'm trying to figure out what you're saying. If this is my revenue right here, let's say that's my game. If I partnered up with somebody, I just lost all of that revenue.
Yeah, but can you see that you're still in the top 1% of everybody? Still?
I know, but not really, because I only got this.
Yeah, but it doesn't. At that point, I don't think it matters. It's
It's still a lot of money, is what you're saying?
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
that's
okay.
exactly what I'm saying is like on a
But
on a
like,
large
hold
scale,
on. Let me finish my point,
Okay.
because I'm devil's advocating you here. Okay, let's say that bar right there that I just circled, that's $100,000. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If I partnered up with a publisher and a partner, let's say I partnered up with you and we made a game, and we got a publisher.
Mm-hmm.
Now I only made $30K. Well, I mean, whatever the number is after the Steam cut, you barely made anything. You made $20K. You can't live on that. You lose everything. You have to go get a job. Or if you do it alone, you make $100K.
Exactly. So there's a small narrow band where the 50% minus 50% is gonna make the difference for you. But I'm saying you have a certain break. There is a certain break-even point that you have, and the odds of landing exactly on this break-even point with your game is minuscule. You're either gonna make way less than you need to break even, or you're gonna make way more than you need to break even. So it's taking 50% away is not gonna change your odds that much, actually.
Okay, so royalty shares and revenue share doesn't really matter if you make a good game.
Yeah, it's like if you made the next hit indie game, if you make the next Undertale, doesn't really matter if you have another partner with you that takes 50% of what you would have gotten. It's like
okay,
sure thing. I guess I could have made double if I made this game alone, but I didn't. I can't make this game alone anyway. So what's the point of making the comparison in the first place?
Okay, so in order to stay away from the midpoint, or that where it's, I think I know what you're saying. So in order to stay away from that bottom of the bell curve, or not bell curve, the bottom of that exponential curve, you should probably partner up. Is that what you're saying?
There's a priority list. You should only partner up with people who make your team better.
Sure.
If you can't do that, then you should work alone. And the worst thing you can do is to work with people who make your team worse.
Okay. So what you're saying is do everything we can to hit this spot, even if that means giving up royalty shares.
Yeah, if you hit that spot, it also doesn't matter. If you're like 50% lower, that's kind of fine. Yeah.
And what I'm saying is it's very, very difficult to get to that spot as a solo anyway. So might as well just partner up with people and work with people to get to that higher spot.
Exactly. I think it's very much worth it. I think the cost benefit analysis, maybe to simplify this whole thing a little bit, is just like you get way more benefit from partnering with somebody than it costs you. That's like if I have to put it very simply in plain English, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Unless you're brilliant.
Unless you're brilliant, that's also exactly what I said earlier. You should only team up with people who make your team better in some way because they can do certain things better than you can.
I love that, dude. Your brain, it always thinks in terms of charts. It's like your brain is a TI-83 calculator. Every time we talk, you end up sending me a chart or something, or giving me like, well, the X and the Y. But I think that's great. You know, it helps me a lot. It helps me a ton. Also, hey, don't forget to check out Bezi to accelerate and simplify your development workflow. Early access is now open for everybody. That includes you. So you can try it out for yourself right now simply by clicking the link in the description.